And yeah, so we're just going to pretend like everything went A-OK and trim to the beginning of the clip. Anyways, as I was saying, exploiting AD users, that went swimmingly last night because it was the third time working through it, and by that time I had gotten better at it. Task 6, we almost completed. We completed half of it. We got the flag just because we figured out what it was. We didn't actually capture it from the target machine, but we were able to figure out what it was. Trent figured out the first half, and I figured out the last half, so we're going to redo Task 6 this time around and get the flag the proper hackerish way, hopefully. And again, I think I figured out what we did wrong. Let me read the summary again here. So we have, these are my notes, and I'm putting in maximum effort developing the notes and the stream and generally going about my education the right way. Objective. The objective of this exercise is to exploit group policy objects in Active Directory to gain administrative and remote desktop protocol access to the THM Server 2 machine. Steps. Number 1, we want to identify user useful credentials, use keylog credentials, that's from the last task, to determine what they can be used for by performing enumeration with Sharphound data in Bloodhound. So Sharphound is kind of the brains of the operation, and Bloodhound is the GUI. It's used for enumerating AD. 2, review permissions. Use Bloodhound to review the permissions of the discovered account. I'm just going to call him ServeMan. And identify ownership over a specific group policy object, GPO. Locate the GPO. Investigate and locate the GPO applied to the THM Server 2 machine. Excuse me. Understand GPOs and sysvol directory. Recall that GPOs are stored in the sysvol directory and are replicated to domain-joined machines. Understand the structure and importance of GPOs in managing configurations. Plan GPO exploit. Plan to exploit the GPO by adding an AD account to the local administrators and remote desktop users groups on THM Server 2 to gain administrative and RDP access. We're up to 6 now. Access group policy management. Avoid suspicion by RDPing into THM Work 1 using normal or tier 2 admin account. Inject AD ServeMan's credentials into memory using the run as command. So that's one of the problems we encountered. That's one of the problems I created last night, is that to begin with, I wasn't injecting ServeMan's credentials. And, you know, it should be obvious. For whatever reason, it wasn't, even though prior to this, I was like reading the text on TryHackMe, I was like, why would we inject our users' credentials using run as, since we already have his password and not the proper permissions, but it, for whatever reason, just didn't click. 7, run group policy management console, MMC. Execute the command MMC to start the Microsoft Management Console. 8, add group policy management snap-in, and we'll look at that. 9, navigate to the relevant GPO. Locate and edit the GPO under servers, management server pushes. 10, modify GPO. Edit the GPO to add an account to the local administrators and remote desktop users group. Expand computer configuration policies, Windows settings, security settings. Right-click on restricted groups and select add group. Add the IT support group. This part's important. Last night, one of the other problems I created was I only added what I called the IT group, and we learned the importance of looking for existing names, having Windows auto-suggest names for us so that we didn't just invent groups that don't really exist elsewhere. And configure it to include the administrators and remote desktop users groups. 11, apply changes. And wait up to 15 minutes for the GPO to be applied. And then finally, verify access, confirm that the initial account. And that's where we ran into a wall last night. Again, I alluded to the solution when I said that I don't really understand the run as command, and I think I need to understand it better. I think that's where I went wrong. And run as executed correctly, but the problem is I didn't actually understand what it did. I thought it actually like kind of swapped out users, but in previous tasks, TryHackMe tried to tell me that, you know, if you run Who Am I, you're still getting whatever account you're logged into. So I think the name run as is a bit of a misnomer. I would, if I were in charge of naming things, and somebody really should put me in charge of naming things, I would call it priv as, like privileged as. So we're just borrowing Servman's, not even his credentials. It's more like just borrowing his privileges for whatever current user you're logged in as. So that's where we went wrong finally, is that I keep saying we. It's me. I tried to log into the THM server 2 as Servman instead of whatever credentials were provided to us from the credentials pages. All right, so and then one of the questions I had, because at one point I tried to add Servman to the users. Why can't we add the Servman account to the newly created IT support? And I'm not sure that we can't, because when I did add Servman, I was adding him to, I think, just the non-existent IT group I conjured out of thin air. So I hope that explanation makes sense. That's where I went wrong last night. A lot of it was not... I mean, the most embarrassing mistakes that I consistently make are trying to run commands on the wrong computer. Think I'm on one computer when I'm on another, and using the wrong credentials. All right, and my fear is that, I mean, it's good to make mistakes and learn from your mistakes in an educational settings, but I'm getting to the point where I'm only learning from my mistakes, and I'm not synthesizing the information properly. So that's a bit of a concern. I hope that all makes sense to everybody at home. Anyways, we're only going to try... I'm not going to overextend myself. I'm just going to do this one task tonight. I have some 3D printing I want to get to eventually. Why isn't... Come on, Firefox. Do Firefox stuff. All right. So... hopefully we're all on the same page. And I should have this bookmarked. I'm not seeing it. So let's just search. Exploiting GPO. Uh-oh. What was that all about? Exploiting Active Directory, yes, but more specifically, not persisting. Oh, I guess it's okay. I get it now. The network has stopped. So we have to start it. Something I should have done before launching the stream. Millo Blocks, thank you for joining us. How are you doing? We are doing task 6 on exploiting Active Directory tonight. Trying to redeem ourselves from the debacle I created last night. This is another one of what I like to call a redemption stream. All right, what am I looking for? And even though I'm just opening up the page, I'm going to refresh it anyways, just to be extra sure. Networks, exploiting AD. Let's regenerate it too, just to be extra sure. And download configuration file. And we're going to rename it something a little easier to type in and auto-suggest. Are we on 9? We are. We are just burning through our OVPN configuration files. CD downloads. I should have I should learn first how to create scripts and then run one for configuring DNS. And it doesn't look like what happened because I haven't created the OpenVPN connection yet. And this is why I should, oh god, I created a new password that's like a gajillion characters long. Hopefully I can paste it. When you first fire up the VM, you're not allowed to paste passwords in for whatever reason, and that seems to discourage people from using password managers, which is probably a bad thing. Oh god. No, I promise you. Can I not pass it in here too? Gotcha. I will try that sometime tomorrow, hopefully in anticipation of tomorrow night's stream. Yeah, I've been leaning pretty heavily on chat for my scripts and whatnot. You'll notice that a lot of the summaries in my notes are generated in conjunction with ChatGPT, and they read very much like they've been developed in part, at least, by a robot. All right. Let's see if we're connected. We need credentials. Task 1. Where's our creds page? And why? Okay, I gotta reboot my... Sometimes my mouse just stops working. This is the only surefire way I know of making sure that DNS is working. Yeah. But it is, at the same time, it's nice to be able to offload a lot of your memory. Outsource remembering things. All right, task 6. We're ready to get started. CD, let's go up. And is there a folder I should be in? Yes, because we have to launch Bloodhound at some point. So why isn't it auto-suggesting? So I'm just going to go ahead and get this going, even though we're not there yet. No database found. That's a problem. I probably should have launched... Oh, it won't even let you log in unless you have Neo4j launched first, huh? All right. What's my Neo4j command? Yeah, I also rely on auto-suggest a lot more than I probably should. Oh, I can just click that. That's interesting. I think I already knew that from before, but maybe I can't click it. Maybe I have to copy and paste it. Oh god. Alright, I'm gonna have to change my password again. Very embarrassing. Alright, Neo4j is running. Now Bloodhound is running. And we're at the point where I'm going to queue up the robot and have the robot read.
Providing us with credentials that can be useful to further our goal of AD exploitation, namely the SVC servman account. We need to perform a bit of enumeration to figure out what these credentials will be useful for. Luckily for us, we already have Sharphound data that we can use. Using the search feature in Bloodhound, let's review the permissions that the discovered account has. One permission, in particular, stands out for this account: ownership over a group policy object, GPO. Furthermore, when we do a bit of investigation, it seems like this GPO is applied to our Server 2 machine. This may provide us with the ideal opportunity to further our AD exploitation. Group policy objects. Remember when we discussed the Sysville directory in enumerating
that's the wrong pause button. Let's look at Bloodhound and try to replicate what they have there. Domain admins, administrator, search for a node. Why isn't it auto suggesting? This part was one of the only things that went smoothly last night. What does S auto suggest? Nothing. SR V. No matches found. Let's re-ingest the data, shall we? We're gonna go to our GUI folder here. Where did I download it? Is this the latest Bloodhound? I probably should have cleared the database to begin with. Let's do that, shall we? I'm assuming this is the right Sharphound data. But I probably should have cleared the database first. And I think we scroll all the way down here. Clear database, clear database, clear database, clearing data. And it does indeed look like it's cleared. Let's go back in here, drag and drop. It is still muggy and awful and hot and sticky and the worst weather here today. All right. Pretty please. Nope, it's the same database as before, and oh, it's not. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. This is why. I don't know why I blamed the computer to begin with. I should have realized it was me. It was me all along. Yeah, it's like swimming. But, you know, out and about, just regular like. Now, the target node is going to be THM server 2. And we just hit play. Even though it had already beat us to it. I think we can drag these around so that this is not looking like what they have. Why? Node info. Am I crazy? Did this not work last night? Okay. No, it's the same. Generic write, GP link, containers. We got pushes, servers. Yeah. And then that's how we get from here to there. Well, where do I find the group policy object that he has ownership over? Somewhere under node info. Generic all? Is that the one we're looking for? All right, let's read ahead and see what the robot has to say. Inform us.
This is the directory where AD GPOs are stored to be replicated to domain-joined machines. A GPO is a virtual collection of policy settings. Each GPO has a unique name, called a GUID. That's why if you try to read the contents of the sysfil directory, GUID. It won't make a lot of sense with all the random names. Each Windows computer has a local policy configuration. This contains several notable configurations such as application configuration for services such as the firewall, antivirus, and app locker. Local group membership such as the administrator or remote desktop users groups. Startup configuration such as scripts that should be executed. Security and protocol settings such as SMBv1 support. These are just a few examples. There are a significant amount of configuration options that can be set.
That one looks particularly cool.
Group policy management. If you only have one Windows computer, it is easy to change the local policy configuration directly on the host. However, you need a mechanism to deploy a configuration from a central location in large organizations. This is where Group Policy Management, GPM, comes into play. Instead of defining policies locally on each machine, GPM allows us to define policies directly on the AD structure. Essentially, we can define GPOs for AD objects, such as a specific OU or group. Domain-joined computers would then pull all policies from sysfil periodically and apply the relevant ones. By default, policies are replicated every 15 minutes through the pupdate application. We can, however, also manually execute this application from command prompt to apply policies instantly.
And this is
Exploiting
the command
GPOs.
that I consistently misspell.
Although there are several ways in which GPOs can be exploited, we will stick with the simple solution of adding an AD account we control to both the local administrators and local remote desktop users groups. This will allow us administrative privileges on Server 2 and the ability to RDP in. We could also use the exposed SSH port, but not many organizations have upgraded to providing SSH access. Hence, RDP access or conventional lateral movement techniques like SMBexec are safer. In order to modify the GPO, we need to access group policy management as the AD user that has the relevant permissions. We could RDP into Server 1 as the user, but that may kick the user out of their active session, raising suspicion. Instead, we will RDP into THMWRK1 with either our normal or our Tier 2 admin account, inject the AD user's credentials into memory using the run as command, and open MMC to modify the GPO.
So we're going to be using our normal account, and by normal they mean whatever you're able to obtain here. And we can't use our Tier 2 account because the network has been reset. So in previous tasks, we were able to compromise some of the accounts. There were like misconfigured permissions, and we were able to reset Tier 2 administrators' passwords. And so then we could log in as the Tier 2 administrator, which I don't know why that wouldn't I don't know why that wouldn't raise suspicion as well. But yeah, so that's how we went about it. But when the network was reset, we were no longer able to persist as Tier 2 admins. The Nmap scans I was doing earlier was to identify existing telnet connections on our network. SSH seems like a big upgrade from there. That's true. Everything, it's all relative, right? There are levels to this, as Daniel Cormier coined the phrase. All right, for a recap on the run as command, and I probably should have done that last night, but I'll tell you what I've learned since then. The run as command doesn't swap out your user, it just borrows their privileges. Yeah, so that's what we'll be doing. We compromised the account serveman, and we found his password, and now we can kind of borrow his privileges for doing what we need to do to exploit AD. Although this seems like it could fall under the heading of pivoting, right? Lateral movement. However, the required command is also provided here that should be executed from an administrative command prompt window. Should we be doing this already? Once prompted, provide the password associated with the account, verify that you blah blah blah. All right, so let's do some of this, and we'll catch up to what the robot has been saying. And I don't think we want to close this window, otherwise Bloodhound will close. Although we don't need Bloodhound anymore, do we? All right. And Bloodhound did in fact close in the background, so good to know. Let's move up. I think there's something else we need in here. We need creds, right? So let's rename this. First we need a new tab. And let's rename this creds. And over here, let's SSH. But we're going to use, first of all, we're on work 1, and we're using something Hussein. Jimmy Jack Hussein. All right. Jack.Hussein. Everything else looks good. Sending it. Now we need the password. I'm going to rely on right-clicking from here on out. Hopefully I can copy and paste correctly. And we're supposed to RDP, aren't we? Free. Isn't it free? Free. It's X free, right? X free RDP. Nope, go back. X free. I don't like the way this is. Just the syntax doesn't look familiar to me. All right, but this should be good, so let's send it, shall we? And I'm pretty sure this is still in our clipboard, but doesn't hurt to do it twice, I suppose. Because because it's the wrong server. I paste it twice. Okay, something went right for a change. Let's see how much of this I can do from memory. First we want command. Run as administrator. I'm not going to be able to remember the run as command. And let's see here. Control. Too far. Back, back, back. Delete, delete, delete. SVC. See, I'm learning. Serve. Man, I'm not super confident that I got this right this time. Okay, so it's not. It's like camel notation. Looks good, right? Let's send it. Password is the super strong password. I'm going to carefully sneak up on the password. Copy it with the right click. And Control V, because we're in Windows. And here we go. Now, I suppose we can do the sysvol stuff to see if we're where we should be. Where's the sysvol stuff? Here's the sysvol stuff. Control C, Control V, and if we get a directory, any sort of directory listing, and we're good. Now we run MMC. So this is the part I'm curious to see how far I can get. File, add, remove, snap in, group policy management, add. Do we have to right click anything here? We just hit OK. Access is denied. Oh, we had this problem before. How did we fix it? Abort! Abort! Just add an OK. We don't have to click on anything yet, right? Why is this? Am I gonna have to rewatch last night's stream to figure out how I fixed this? I mean, if I remember correctly, the reason why it wasn't working, yeah, we used the wrong user that last time. But this is we're getting the same error message despite using the correct user. That's how we. All right. And we're getting the right. I mean, we're getting confirmation that we've done the run as command correctly. Now nothing's happening. Did somebody change ServeMan's permissions? That's the only thing I can think of, is that the network has been tampered with. Or I don't know, because like I said, we have confirmation with the sysvol commands. But if we have confirmation with that, doesn't that mean he has... Maybe, did I select the wrong GPO? Group policy management. Right, that's what I'm saying. I think that maybe I mean, he's supposed to have access to group policy management. Yeah, remember we got tier 2 admin credentials. There were misconfigurations, and then we were able to change their passwords and log in as them, but we didn't have them last night because the network was reset, and so our hack didn't persist. We were using Jack Hussein's credentials, same as last night. Basically, Jack Hussein's credentials with servman's privileges over the group policy object. But for some reason tonight, it doesn't look like he has... I mean, they're working so far that we're able to RDP into THM Work 1. And the reason why we're not logging in as servman supposedly is because it will be suspicious. But Jack doesn't have privileges over the group policy object that we want, I don't think. No, this is exactly, I mean, it's basically, I don't know, do we have to remove this or something? Can we remove this? I mean, we've done everything exactly as we did last night, and we got further than this, and we're doing everything exactly as the instructions say, but we're hitting a wall here. And again, we have, this confirms that we're using Jack's account with servman's privileges. I mean, yeah, you know, I'm kind of paranoid and conspiratorial, so my mind first goes to something is tampered with servman's privileges somehow. Insofar as they no longer have authority over group policy management. Or maybe this is something. I don't think it's something. Then let's read the prompts. Choose a different domain controller. No. Retry. No. Remove this domain from the console. Why would we want to do that? How's that different from... Do we want that? Will that... we don't have... The only other credentials we can get are here, and these are only for the purposes of RDPing onto THM Work 1. I mean, we could redo the previous tasks and get tier 2 credentials again, but the problem is not with those credentials, it's not even necessarily with servman's credentials, it's just that he no longer has privileges over the group policy object, it looks like. Well, you know what? There's nothing else to do, so I don't know if this is going to destroy the whole network, but let's do that. That does nothing. This is, it seems to me like it's, I mean, again, like I'm paranoid, but that doesn't mean that they're not after you. So that's where my mind goes to immediately. That somebody did mess up, either intentionally or unintentionally, servman's authority over the group policy object. Right? I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with. This is one of those things that only resetting the network is going to resolve, I think. And so far, it only has how many votes? Let me maintain my streak here real quick. Yay, 10. I'm only 80 streaks away from a new badge. Where are we on voting to nuke this network? Just 2 of 5. I was watching another YouTuber. What's his name? Like, as soon as I finished my stream, I saw that somebody else was streaming Try Hack Me. And he was on the, not Halo, Hollow server. And he was having problems, and he came to the same conclusion that somebody had basically defaced the network. Like the servers, the machines are private, the networks are shared. Yeah. I agree. I think there's nothing else to do. I can't even switch over to playing X-Men versus Street Fighter while we wait because my joystick is messed up. I was going to try and fix that today, but kind of got sidetracked by a bunch of other stuff. I don't want to skip to the next task. Or do I? No, because we don't necessarily have access to THM Server 2 anyways, so we probably can't skip over. But Trent, I do apologize. Or I apologize. I do appreciate the sanity check, because without you hearing your experience, I would probably think of at least 10 other ways to blame myself for what I've done or haven't done. But I do appreciate you confirming my suspicions that there's something wrong with serve man's authority over the group policy object. Why would somebody do that to me? Yeah, we don't have access to... Oh, what'd I do? Did I manage to break everything? What's GPME? One with the operations master token for the OK. I don't know. So that now there's no domain controller? The entire everything is broken? Did I do that? Just curious. We're gonna have to abort the stream. Oh, it's already added. Yeah. All right. Okay, well, everybody, thanks for joining me. If you look up YouTube Hollow server, you can see another streamer encountering a similar problem last night, and he has encouraged all his viewers to complain to Try Hack Me to try to get this resolved. I mean, in a lot of ways, it just kind of relies on, if you're creating machines that are insecure and publishing those insecurities, you're kind of just relying on the good graces of your users not to break these in ways that violate their terms of service. So I don't know exactly what can be done with it, if anything can be done with it. I don't think you can create, I mean, ideally you would make the networks individual for everybody, but I don't know how viable that is. But we're at least 2 hours away from resetting the network, so excuse me, I'm gonna call it here.
What is it? What's wrong?
Nothing, it's just a minor glitch.
Minor glitch with you seems to turn into a major catastrophe.
Yeah, so this has turned into a major catastrophe, and to all you network vandals out there, I implore you, please.
Hackers of the world, unite.
Hackers of the world, unite and stop messing up with the, stop defacing the networks. All right. Trent, anything to add? Milo Blocks, anything to add if you're still here? Let me know what you think, and then we'll just shut down the stream and try again tomorrow night. Yeah, I've got to do some 3D printing stuff. I'm going to be live every night, 8 p.m. EST, until I get through compromising Active Directory. So hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow night. I do appreciate you bringing sanity and experience to what is otherwise kind of a crazy stream. All right, with that, thank you very much and take care. Goodbye.